Morning uprising, you beautiful souls. The ability to understand something instinctively without the need for conscious reasoning. Other similar associated words such as instinct, intuition, sixth sense, divination, clairvoyance, and second thought. Intuition is a process that gives us the ability to know something directly without analytical reasoning, bridging the gap between the conscious and the non-conscious parts of our mind, and also between instinct and reason. Our discomfort, though, with such ideas of relying on our instincts is based on millennia of cultural prejudice. Now, a spirit guide in Western spiritualism is an entity that remains as a disincarnate spirit to act as a guide or protector to a living incarnated human being such as ourselves. Now, if you have got to the point where you are now wondering, what is the purpose of this post, Silver? Well, of course, this moment in reflectivity is to urge us to pay more attention. To pay attention to our intuition, intuitiveness, spirit guide, or whatever else you want to call it. Now, unless you have been born, I'd say, in an environment and nurtured within a realm that encourages your spirit gifts, such as all I've mentioned above, it will more likely remain very dormant or even deactivate itself. Whereas if you are more like myself and you have gone on your own individual soul purpose journey, you may still retain and obtain some of those frequencies, which you will encounter, and it will reintroduce itself to you. Now, it is whether you choose to tap in or out within that realm is entirely up to you. Now, let me share some personal testimonies on this. But firstly, let me say that I feel that if you have not been nurtured in an environment, which I haven't been nurtured in such environments where you are tapped in with all this intuition and developing these abilities naturally, you're going to doubt. You may have a lot of doubt whether you are really thinking these things, or is it just a voice in your head? Is it coming from the Creator, God, or is it just trauma speaking from the past? You may have all these random thoughts of where is the thought or feeling coming from. Now, I personally choose to often sit still, be still, try to sit in a realm of space where I tap in and ask myself, where is such thoughts and vibrational guidance coming from? Is it coming from just me? Am I getting warning signals or even purposeful direction based on what I just want? And 9 times out of 10, no. So I will tell you now that I often will sense what is going to happen before it has even occurred. And I act upon it more times than not because it has never stirred me incorrectly. In fact, I'll go as far to say that when I do not pay attention to what has said to me, especially within relationships and friendships, things tend to go all the way left and end up quite dysfunctional when I could have really prevented it. Not prevented it from happening, but prevented myself from indulging in the toxicness. So, for an example, whether it's relationships or friendships or anything like that, I've had the ability to pull the plug in those encounters and leave and disconnect and deactivate whatever it is, because I've had my intuition very strongly speak to me, either about the energy of the person or the encounter I'm going to have or the drama that's on its way. And especially if people are riddled with a lot of different dysfunctional energies that is now bleeding or overspilling within my realms. And by the way, when I say that, it could be the loveliest person. When I speak this way, it doesn't mean that people are negative. We have to stop thinking that everyone vibrationally that has a lot of energy, or you're getting all these signs, it doesn't mean they're a bad person or a negative person or mean you any harm. It could just mean, do you need to be involved, or also allow them to attach their energy to yours? you have to ask yourself, where are you currently within your own realms? Where are you vibrationally? And if you know that you have put in the work, especially where I've put in a lot of work within myself on my soul purpose, looking at my soul seeds and what soul contracts have I made within myself and to myself, good and bad. And when you get to that state of clarity, you will then decide whether it's family, friend, business, colleague, or even potential partners or even existing partners, whether they are worth that ism. So, just to re-emphasize, this morning's Moment in Reflectivity is talking about your intuition. You may call it vibes, you can call it energy, you can call it spirit guide, you can call it your ancestors channeling through you, you can call it your angelic forces, whatever it is. People often call it vibrations or vibes. I definitely have the ability to, my guides speak to me a lot. And I can honestly say to you that throughout the course of my life, I have been able to discover multiple people that I've either dated or had long-term relationships with, what they've gone through, their traumas, whether it means that they've lied about being married before or not, whether that has been me being able to sense that the person I've just started dating at the time, that whether they had, for an example, I'll cut to the chase. I was dating someone, and within less than 3 weeks, I'd asked them to show me their hand. And no, I don't read palms, but something told me to ask them to look at their hand, which I did. And I took their hand and I said, please, can I ask you a very intrusive question, but I really need to know. And I said, what is it? And I turned and said, do you have a tendency of beating women? Are you a woman beater, basically? And they said no. Well, that was a lie, because they nearly took my life for sure. And obviously I left that relationship. And then once I left the relationship, I discovered that they had, punctured their child's mother's lungs, and they had a history of being being the predator of domestic violence. So that is one example of me saying to you that my spirit guide has been very strong, and I can always sense when someone is riddled with energy, drama, toxicness, or interference, and how that may affect my life. And I tend to know when to jump ship before the ship sinks. Yeah. And when I do not take note, then that means I've decided to just be and not take note and doubt myself. And, because it can be quite a burden to keep doing stuff before it happens, because you never get to really live, do you? So occasionally I have just said, I'm just going to be, and what will be, and it's never worked out for me, to be honest. So I'm now in a headspace over the last, 6 months, where I'm deciding to truly be a lot more loyal, be a lot more committed and loyal to intuition. And if that wasn't enough for you, then I'll give you one more before I leave. How about having a dream of seeing a woman flash twice in the mirror with a wedding dress on, and then discovering that the man that you were with had been married twice, but he told you he'd never been married before? And then I discovered that he had multiple children, but apparently he had none. So, if that is not enough evidence to say that I am very tapped in, I don't know what is. So, I urge you to stop doubting yourself. If you do have the ability, whatever you want to name it, okay, to foresee things before it happens, to sense things. Maybe you are someone that senses things and you feel the energy that moves through you in a room. Whatever it is, please pay attention, because perhaps you have the ability to either work with people within those realms, or even just a guide for yourself. And when it comes to energy, it doesn't lie to me. I pretty much can sit there and sense when someone's full of bullshit. Yeah. Happy New Day, peeps.